Vaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshuromilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sejuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we continue reading from the Bhagavad-Gītā as it is, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, text 58, and we also requested to do 59, so 58 first. Yada samharati chayam kurmo gnagniva sarvasa indriyan indriyartevyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Somebody else? Yada samharati chayam kurmo ganiva sarvasaha indriyanindriyartevyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Mataji?
Yada samharate chayam
Yada samharati chayam kurmo ganiva sarvasaha
Yada samharate chayam kurmani ganiva sarvasa Indrayanyaniyatavasa Tasya pragya pratisthita. Yada samharate chayam kurmo ganiva sarvasa
indriyanindriyartevyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Yada. When. Samharate. Winds up. Cha. Also. Ayam. He. Kurmaha. Tortoise. Angani. Limbs. Iva. Like. Sarvasaha. All together. Indriyani. Senses. Indriya artebhya. From the sense objects. Tasya. His. Pragya. Consciousness. Pratisthita. Fixed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Purport. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. Yada samharati chayam kurmunya viva sarvasa indriyan indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratisthita. So, this is the reply to one of the questions. There were two questions that was asked by Arjuna to Lord Krishna. How does he sit? How does a transcendentalist sit and how does he walk? Meaning, what are his activities? What are his activities? We can tell a person, Prabhupada is always, he mentioned one time also, not just one time, many times. He says that you can tell a fool when he opens his mouth. Or if a person doesn't open his mouth, you can tell a person by his actions. Actions speak louder than words. You can tell a person who is educated how respectful he is, how well behaved, good mannered he is. And you can tell a person if he's uneducated if he acts foolishly or whimsically. So a Vaisnava, like you, should know how to behave properly according to scriptures, according to the tenets of these sastras. And this comes naturally. Because sometimes the devotee says, "Oh, Prabhu, it is my nature. What can I do?" What is our nature? Our real nature is that we are all spirit souls, pure, blissful, and eternal. That is our real nature. But because we are covered up by the modes of material nature, then that is not our real nature. Our real nature means we are all eternally pure and blissful. So, Srila Prabhupada once mentioned also, one time he says that the reason why we are here in the material world because we're all criminals. It's like a prison house. A prison house compared to the whole populace is only a small percentage of those who are living outside freely. So similarly, the living entities here in the material world are very less than 10%. More than 90% are in the spiritual world, even though the spiritual world is 3/4 of the entire kingdom of God. The material world is 1/4 of the ekapad, of the part of the kingdom of God. So we are here because we are all diseased. And what is our main disease? Our main disease is that we have material desires. This is our disease. That's why we're still in the material world. If we don't have any more material desires, definitely, even physically we're here, that means we're also living in the spiritual world. There's no difference. For just like an electrician fixing a heater and a cooler is the same. The same energy, electricity. He's just able to convert the electricity for use in the heater or in a cooler. So the same energy of the Supreme Lord, the material energy, can be converted into spiritual for those devotees who are free from material desires. Otherwise, it doesn't matter where we go. Because those who have material desires, they don't have any peace of mind. They're always disturbed. And it doesn't matter whether you go to the Himalayas, where it's very peaceful. There's a lot of goodness, forest. But still, you will not be peaceful there if your mind is disturbed. Because, why the mind is disturbed? Because we cannot control the dictations of the senses. The senses want something else besides Krishna. The tongue wants to eat palatable foodstuffs which are not offered to Krishna. The sense of smell, they want to smell besides the incense being offered to the Supreme Lord or the flowers being offered to the Supreme Lord. The sense of hearing, the ears wanted to hear cinema songs or some rock and roll music, Bollywood music besides bhajans. Sense of sight, the eyes wanted to see obscene pictures or obscene scenes instead of having darshan of the beauty of the Archa Vigraha form of the Supreme Lord. The sense of touch, wanted to touch the opposite sex instead of the Vaisnavas, or touching the body of the Supreme Lord. So if the senses are not controlled, then they are considered as our enemy. It's like the mind, if it's not uncontrolled. If the senses wanted to enjoy the objects of the senses, because the mind is thinking, yes, you can be happy, you can be fulfilled, your desires can be fulfilled by doing so, but it's not so. The Acharyas explains that not possible. Not possible. This is like fire. By becoming devotee, we're declaring war against Maya. This is our first duty, to declare war against Maya, the material energy, even though she's doing a very good service to keep the materially conditioned souls, materially enamored conditioned souls, shackled, bound in this material world, and she put the conditioned souls into illusion. She's doing a thankless task. But for a devotee of the Lord, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that once you are eager and desirous to get out of this material world, the more you wanted to get out of this material world, then the more material energy would want to put you into illusion. Haribo. The more we wanted to become released from the shackles of the material energy, then the more we want to get out of this material world, and the more the material energy will put many impediments. Because she wanted to be sure that we're really fully dedicated to Krishna. This is her service. She wanted to be sure that she wanted to really be convinced by us. And it's not so easy to convince the material energy that actually I don't want any more material desires. I just want Krishna. So it's not so easy to convince her. Not so much so that if we follow the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we may be able to convince her. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the introduction of this Vaishnava songbook, that the safest place in this world is in Kirtan. Of all the 9 processes of devotional service, 9 limbs, Kirtan is the best. Why? Kirtan is the best because in Kirtan you are hearing, and also at the same time you are remembering. When you utter the holy names of the Lord, then automatically you are hearing. And when you hear the holy names of the Lord, automatically the sound vibration will remind us of Krishna and the spiritual world. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that this is the only way how we can control our senses, through Kirtan. Not possible at all. But the problem is you don't have taste, right? Who has taste? We don't have taste. Otherwise we'll be always absorbed in hearing and chanting 24 hours. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop. Or committing offenses doesn't mean that I have to stop. No, because the solution for overcoming the offenses, and the solution for having taste is to keep on chanting. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati's prayer to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Chandramrita. Kala kalair balina indriya vairi varga shibakti marga iha kantaka koti rudha haha kwa yami vikala kim aham karomi Chaitanya Chandra yadhina ja kripam karosi. Now it is the age of Kali. My enemies, the senses, have become very strong. The splendid path of pure devotional service is blocked by millions of brambles. I am weak and agitated. Alas, alas, where can I go? O Lord Chaitanya Chandra, if now you will not give me your mercy, what can I do? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving the mercy. He's giving a mercy to everyone, but we're not ready to accept. Or we're ready to accept, but with some conditions. If we're really actually ready to accept Lord Chaitanya's mercy, then we will receive His full mercy. The problem is we just want the good part and we don't want to take the austerity. In receiving Lord Chaitanya's mercy, part of it is that we have to do our duty to perform austerity. The materialists, they want everything easy. It's like they will buy a lottery ticket to win millions of rupees immediately. And in spiritual life, we may have to work harder. We may have, somebody was telling me yesterday, in this lifetime, Srila Prabhupada says, we should try to work harder, go an extra mile, try to perform a little bit more austerity, take the extra trouble to serve Krishna and the Vaisnavas. Who are doing that? Or are we just comfortable in our comfort zone, so to speak, and just minding our own business? It's good to mind our own business. The problem is minding other business while our own business is not properly accomplished. We can only mind other business or trying to help them, go an extra mile to help them if we are already properly situated. Then we can help them. If our senses and our mind are not fully under control, then how can we ask somebody else to please, Prabhuji, please control your senses, control your mind? It may help up to a certain extent, but it'll be more effective if ourselves are fully situated. So, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is available for everyone, but not everyone are able to accept the full mercy. They don't want to take this extra trouble to perform in order to receive the full mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nevertheless, our senses are like wild animals, very difficult to tame. Prabhupada gave an example here. It's like a snake charmer. Our senses are like venomous snakes, meaning that venomous snake has very poisonous teeth, poisonous effect. That he says, Prabhupada says that even a milk touched by the lips of a serpent becomes poisonous. So if we let our senses go wild, and yoga means control of the senses and the mind. We cannot practice bhakti yoga and at the same time let our senses go wild. There is some kind of followings here in India especially that, oh, no problem, whatever your mind and senses dictates, satisfy as much as you like, no problem. And when the senses and the mind becomes tired, then that means your mind and senses are already controlled. But not possible to control the mind like that. In our philosophy, we control the senses by giving an alternative. We don't stop eating, but we eat prasad, purified foodstuffs offered to the Lord. And we eat much better quality foodstuffs than others, especially when we mix all these different ingredients like grains, beans, lentils, vegetables, and especially with milk products. But eat Krishna Prasad. That's the way how we control our tongue, which according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is the most ferocious and very difficult to control. Of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious. Filipino accent. Voracious means it's like, always want to eat something or always want to talk something. Two functions, to eat and to vibrate. So if we, instead of talking prajalpa, gram kata, chismis, call it in the Philippines, chismis means, talking of others, like criticizing others, talking about others' family or wives or husbands or film stars or sports. This is like people get sense enjoyment to the fullest while talking about others. If you're gonna talk, why not talk about Krishna or his devotees? If you're going to vibrate, why not chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? It's like today we are observing Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj's disappearance day and Rasikananda Prabhu's disappearance day and Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami's disappearance day. And they're all great Vaisnavas being always absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Babaji means 24 hours a day vibrating the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or the holy names of the Lord. We were there actually in the last few days when Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Mayapur, and I was president of Toronto Temple, so every year I had this fortunate privilege to be sitting down in the meetings, and that year, that was 12 years ago, I was vice president of Delhi Temple, and that was like the last year of the because every year since Prabhupada's time, all the temple presidents would be having meetings, but as time passes by, the temple presidents the attendance became less and less, and mostly only the Indian contingents that would attend, and somehow they nominated me as representing all the temple presidents. So I had the privilege and fortune to sit down with the GBCs in that year for the meeting, because every year they would be a representative of all the temple presidents all over the world. So that year I was there, and in that meeting I noticed there was like one chair which is colored orange. All the chairs were colored either blue, I can remember, or black. And then I was wondering, who is gonna sit in this chair? There are so many sannyasis, GBC gurus, and they're all sitting all in the same chair, but this chair is the only very distinct orange color. I didn't know that Tamal Krishna Maharaj will be the person who will be sitting there. So he was there, and yes, as we've heard this afternoon, he was quiet, but at the same time he will give the most valuable input. And yes, this every night there would be a kirtan in his apartment or in his room. So in those days there were no what you call kirtan melas. It's not heard of. So I would presume, and I could be mistaken, that those events that happen in his room, like, you know, all the big kirtan leaders and all the senior God brothers of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, they were there. So that became like the mother or the birthplace of the Kirtan Mela. Which is right now there's a Kirtan Mela going on in Mayapur where thousands and thousands of devotees congregating to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, immersing themselves in the mellows of the holy names of the Lord. So for me it's like a sign where he indicated, whereby that yes, we should absorb ourselves in more in hearing and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's like yeah, before he left, that he said, yes, this is the most important thing to do. Besides, yes, we can go on meeting and meeting and meeting, but everything will be reconciled if we chant. All the enmities between each other can be forgotten, can be forgiven. Each and everyone's relationships will become solidified if we become immersed in hearing and chanting. So yes, because as long as we are in this material world, as long as we are having this material body, then there'll be material desires. There is no way of getting out of it. It is not possible. The difference of that self-realized soul is that the self-realized soul is that he may be physically like living amongst us, but if material desires comes, he can easily, if material desires comes, of course material desires doesn't come anymore to a self-realized soul or a pure devotee of the Lord. But somehow, let's say if material desires come, can easily ignore it. This is the only way how we can get rid of our material desires. For those of us who are struggling, these material desires will come and go and come and go and come and go. And the best way how to get rid of this is not to entertain it. Just ignore it. It will come and go. It's only in their mind, actually. A mind thinking, oh yes, I can be happy if I have this. I can be satisfied if I have this. But this is only in the mind. The soul doesn't have anything to do with it. So identifying with our body is the main disease as well. Identifying with the body means fulfilling one's material desires. So, Srila Prabhupada says the best example that we have to follow is, he says that is like that of a tortoise. Have you seen a tortoise? A live tortoise, kurma? When you touch the feet, it will contract. It will pull the legs, or even his own head, and you will not see anything, only the shell. So similarly, we should be like this as well. We should have like a very, very powerful radar, that as soon as the mind tells something, planning for executing some kind of material desires to be fulfilled, we should immediately think of kurma, how the tortoise able to withdraw the senses, these limbs, from being touched by somebody else. So we should be able to also, it will remind us as well to think of that, yes, if I fulfill the dictations of my mind, to fulfill the desire to enjoy these sense objects with my senses, instead of being happy, I will be frustrated, because fulfilling material desires doesn't help one to become happy. On the other hand is the opposite. Fulfilling one's material desires put one in a frustrated and miserable condition. That is the equation of the material world. The more we want to fulfill our material desires, the more we become miserable, the more we suffer. Now, the more we try harder to become Krishna conscious, in the beginning there might be some kind of difficulty, and it's there because material energy is testing us. Not until we fully convince her that we want to be really fully Krishna conscious and nothing else, then she will release us from her clutches or her claws. I have one devotee who went to America because he wants to fulfill the responsibilities of the family. He just went there for like 2 or 3 months, and because he went at the wrong time, that was like the coldest season in 100 years. So he felt that, what is this? I have to go back to Vrindavan. So he's back in Vrindavan. I told him, well, if you really have to fulfill something, you must have to admit that you must have to carry some kind of determination, and you have to persevere for some time. Then it becomes a little easier after that. So he's planning to go back again. So we should be like that, in such a way that we should not give up. Krishna consciousness, there is up and down. It's like a roller coaster ride, and after some time it becomes smooth. The fly will be very smooth. Just like in the beginning, when you're on the plane and when you're taking off, it's like, it's very frightening. But once you're up there, also maybe there's up and down because of the turbulent air. But when you land, you reach the destination, everything is peaceful. So in Krishna consciousness, it is like this as well. We have to be fixed in our determination in the process of Krishna consciousness as being taught by the predecessor acharyas and by following in the footsteps of Arjuna. Text 59, right? Visaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina raso varjam raso piyasya param drisva nivartate. Somebody else?
I think it'll take, since we're so late, it's better just to go into the translation.
Okay, I'll take translation. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. Purport. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So the reason why we are still here and we're still trying to become Krishna conscious is because we had a little bit of taste of Krishna consciousness. In Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami also mentioned this, what he called shadow attachment. That even a new bhakta who just joined, you can see him so much in ecstasy in the kirtan, dancing like a madman, running up and down, very wildly being with the devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and experiencing some kind of ecstasy. No, he did not follow. Let's say he just came on that day and he got infected with the ecstasy and bliss of the other devotees who's been following rules and regulations for many, many years. But this person who just came in, because of the contagious effect of bhakti, that the new bhakta who did not, he's not even a new bhakta, he just came from out, from, let's say, a Sunday feast, or some people who are coming as like tourists, they come to the temple and they saw the devotees, and they cannot control their emotions and they get infected by this Krishna consciousness. They did not follow any rules and regulations, and somehow they feel the same kind of ecstasy. This is the mystery of Krishna consciousness. But then eventually he found out that you have to follow some rules and regulations. It's not just all the time he can be like that. It's not like you reach a height or a level of happiness that one is experiencing, or all the time, or sometime also, that you don't need to follow any rules and regulations. And that's why in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada, he did not tell any of his disciples, new recruits, that there is any rules and regulations. It's only later on when they asked Srila Prabhupada at the time of initiation, is there any rules and regulations we have to follow? In the beginning, there is no such thing as no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. He just told them, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. No rules, no nothing. No getting up early in the morning, because in those days there's no Mangal Hartik. Prabhupada will come to give class Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and usually the program is in the evenings. But when the first batch of the initiates were performed for them by Srila Prabhupada, and they asked Srila Prabhupada, is there any rules and regulations that we need to follow? And then he told them that, oh, I thought you will never ask. So then that's the first time he wrote like some memorandum for everyone. All the initiated devotees should duly follow the following: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, wake up early in the morning, it's before sunrise. I don't know, I think it's still here, that letter. And we used to post this in every temple, so that new bhaktas or every devotee who has been even in the movement for many years should be reminded that we have to follow this. And it's what we call the sadhana bhakti. So the process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. So we're all diseased, as we mentioned earlier, and we can easily give up what we experienced or what we were doing before because of this higher taste, and we're able to maintain it even up to this moment. And for those who really have the taste for this, then no one has to push us that, hey Prabhu, get up, it's Mangal Artik time. Something like we have a natural clock inside, that even if we have an alarm clock that's set at 3 o'clock, I don't know what time you put your alarm clock. Some devotees, they get up at 2:30, 3 o'clock, different time. I remember when I was a new bhakta, because the Mangal Artik in Toronto is 4:15. So I will time myself that I will wake up at 3:45, just enough time to take a bath quick and put on tilak and dhoti and then be at the temple room. So Bhakti Marg Swami used to call me a 3:45 bhakta. 3:45 bhakta. But others, they will get the, see, because the more you start to have a taste, others will wake up earlier and they will finish their rounds before Mangal Artik, or half of their rounds before Mangal Artik, or they will read Prabhupada's books before Mangal Artik. There is sannyasi who's been doing this for many years. He will get up at 2:30 or even 2 o'clock, and then he will read, because that's the most quietest time, and then your mind is so peaceful, everything is fully being absorbed, and then when you go and see the deities, then you really appreciate that, yes, this is God, not just a statue, not just a ritual that I'm coming to the temple, that they told me to come, so I have to come. It becomes very relishable, and one will start to really appreciate the form of the Lord, and will start to have cultivating this or establishing this relationship with the deities. So now, devotees who doesn't have the taste, they have to be pushed. Even after many years. I know some devotees are like that. After many years, they need to be pushed. Because they did not acquire that taste which it should have been acquired if we follow strictly from the very beginning the process that Srila Prabhupada showed to us how we should do it. The most advanced devotees actually they follow this very rigidly. It is not that they said, oh, I'm very advanced. Of course, the more advanced he is, then the more he thinks he's not advanced. And the more the one who is advanced, the more he follows the process strictly. And the more who are thinking that I'm very advanced, I don't need to come for Mangalartik. I don't need to come for Guru Puja. I can do my Guru Puja in my own room. I have my own deity, so I can just worship my deity, and if I have time, I come to the temple. Oh, they're very neophytes for Srimad Bhagavatam class. I can give better Srimad Bhagavatam class than them, so I don't come. I will just read the very intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and I will relish it by myself. This is not the process. The more we advance, the more we want the association of all the devotees. You feel alone. The more you advance, you feel you're alone and you want others' association. It's not that the more you become advanced, you want to give your association to others when you feel like you're giving to them. That is not advancement. That is you're going down somewhere and eventually going out somewhere. So higher taste is like that. The more we have this higher taste, and the more we want to relish it by giving it to others. That is the nectar of Krishna consciousness. The more we distribute them to others, it's not that we are becoming depleted or being emptied. The more we give Krishna consciousness to others, the more Krishna is giving us and pouring in more and more to us. That the more we give to others, the more we are drowning in Krishna consciousness. So we should not be selfish in our Krishna consciousness. Whatever we have, we should try to give them to others. The more we give, the more we receive. We can only give what we have. But the more we give, the more we will receive, and more than what we had before. That is Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Okay, any questions? Comments?
There's a mic over there.
Come on, you can give Krishna consciousness to others also. Don't be selfish. Give something. What is your realization of having a higher taste? What does it mean to be having a higher taste? Oh, hold on. Mataji, you have the mic.
Who's answering?
Okay. Go ahead.
Sadhu Sangha in Krishna consciousness of sannyasis like yourself, your divine selves, Maharajas.
We eat food without offering to Krishna, this is lower taste. If we offer to Krishna and then eat, this higher taste.
No, we should offer to Krishna what Krishna wants, not what we want. Because sometimes we want to offer Krishna what we want to eat. Then we will say, oh, this is Krishna Prasad. We should offer to Krishna what Krishna wants. More relishable to Krishna. Then that is higher taste. And sometimes, even, you know, just like when there's a feast, and Mahaprasad is being distributed, and Mahaprasad will come to you and says, Prabhu, I want that. I want this. I want that one. No, don't give me that one. I don't want that one. That is not higher taste. That is your taste. Higher taste means, that's why in some temples, you know what they do with Mahaprasad? They mix them all up. Sweets and namkeens all together. Right? In Delhi we do that. So you cannot say, oh Prabhu, just give me the paneer or just give me the halava. I don't want Kerala. You know, I don't want these bitter things. I don't want to. No. So Mahaprasad is Mahaprasad. So a person who that's the problem also, because we don't realize the Mahaprasad none different than Krishna. We're thinking of the taste of the prasad. So that is not higher taste. Higher taste means whatever is being offered to you, you relish it. Also, not just in terms of this, I was just reading. Whatever Krishna does for us is for our best. Okay? Whatever Krishna does for us is for our best. Because sometimes Krishna will do something to us that may taste very bitter. That we will even say, Krishna, why are you doing this to me? Why this? Why am I facing this? This is not very palatable. But Krishna will not do anything towards his devotee if it's not for the best of his devotee. We should always remember this, irregardless of what situation. But because we are seeing things in the mental platform, in the material platform, that we're saying that, Krishna, this is not proper. This is very bitter. We are only seeing now, we're not seeing like 10 years from now what's going to happen to us because of what Krishna gave us today. This is very important. I just read it, I think last night or the other night. I was just like meditating on this because, yes, what's happening to me, I mean, you know, it's like I cannot comprehend. But especially when it comes to family relationship. What is our relationship with our family members, especially if they're not devotees? How to understand this? How to adjust in such a way that, yes, everything is in the hands of Krishna. Krishna is in control. And I might not be able to understand it or really appreciate what's going on right now. But I know whatever is going on right now will be ultimately for my Krishna consciousness. Yes, sir.
I'm looking something. Yeah, this is quite talking about the higher taste and hope this is appropriate.
Is this on?
Sorry?
Is it on?
Is it on? Yeah, it's on. I'm not speaking close enough. Sorry. So before I was just joining the movement, and I had an addiction to smoking. It was like really bad. It was really bad addiction. It was really bad, you know. They cut me. I had was it biopsy? Biopsy. You go into hospital because there's white stuff on the inside of my mouth, and they had something like a wine bottle opener, and it was like right in the bottom, and ripping the skin out, and there were those scalpels and slicing my mouth into bits. I was going, is this fun? I don't know. And in there, I couldn't give it up. Anyway, so I started reading Prabhupada's books and started chanting, and then I thought, and I was smoking, and then I was chanting. I thought, okay, one of these has got to go. So I'd smoke and I'd chant and I'd smoke and I'd chant and I'd smoke until one of them went. So I'm here. And if you know, that's what I'm saying. That's how I gave up. So I was very fortunate. So for me, that's what I got the higher taste.
Yes. Krishna is the ultimate person. He's the only person who will be able to help us. As much as hard we try to give it up, of course the endeavor should be on our part, but we have to ask Krishna to complete that endeavor, to fulfill and accomplish that endeavor. The holy name helps you.
And this other thing that happened was, this is a bit strange, but anyway, so there's some other intoxicants, and I realised, oh, I could really get into this. So I went, no, I'm not going there. But I came to that decision, I could really get into this, so I'm not going there.
Yes.
Right? And then years later, I was outside a rock concert. You know, I was getting someone to chant.
Right.
I was going, Go Ranga Nityananda, Go Ranga Nityananda, and he was doing it, and he was really getting into it.
Yeah.
Then he stopped. And I says, why did you stop? And he really said, I could really get into this. And that's the choice we have, isn't
That's
it?
the taste, the higher taste.
Yeah.
In the early days, when Srila Prabhupada gave the permission to Tamal Krishna Maharaj to go to America, because he took sannyas and he got sick, and then he had time to read, and he requested Prabhupada to go to America to join Vishnujan Swami with the Radha Damodar temple. So there was some...
Traveling party.
Huh?
The traveling party.
Yeah, the traveling party. And in LA, some of the grihastas were taking intoxicants. Prabhupada heard of this, so Tamal Krishna Maharaj was sent there also to resolve this. But when he went there, the devotees were denying it, that it's not happening. But later on, it was proven that it was true. That's the problem. We don't have much faith. That's why we don't get this higher taste. We don't have much faith in the process. Faith has to be stronger and stronger and stronger, that it becomes nistha, it becomes firm faith, that no one can shake us. Then that is real higher taste. If there is still thinking, willing and rejecting inside, that means the higher taste is still not yet achieved. But once it becomes like cannot be shaken, it becomes so firm, then higher taste is actually achieved.
Can I have a mic? So we should never underestimate the potency of our sadhana.
Yes.
And especially when you're new devotees, especially when you're young, you keep on doing, you know, even if you don't mean it, get up for Mangal Arati, chant your rounds, follow all the rules, you know, all the do's and all the don'ts, Prabhupada's explaining.
Yes.
Just keep on following it, and after you follow it, it becomes a habit, a good habit. And after a while, if you're not able to do it, then you miss it. And after a great while, when you're too old to have, you might have some shortcomings, because old age brings all kinds of limitations. So you may not be able to go to Mangal Arati every morning. Well, luckily here we have the radio. So I've had to, in certain years when I'm so ill, I spend many long days and days just on the radio. It's the only association I can get.
Yeah.
But you miss that association, and if you don't come to that level by practicing it for years and years, then you're missing out on your spiritual life. Because that's what saves you. It makes you attached to those things, to the association, to the darshan of the deities, to The association and darshan of the deities, to the classes, to listening, to
Right.
hearing, to singing for an hour or two first thing in the morning. I mean, this is a really nice process.
We should be thankful to Narendra Krishna Prabhu who made this FM available. He's the one who. We should not misuse it, as you said, as much as possible. If we can come, then we should come. Prabhupada says one time that even if you be put in a stretcher, come to Mangalartik. And Jayananda Prabhu was like that, even in his last days, you know.
Yeah, he used to say, you should come to Mangalarti, especially if you're sick.
Yes.
But if you don't have the physical wherewithal to do it, at least turn on the FM radio.
If it's a little bit of fever, everybody has some bodily aches.
Yeah.
You know. As long as we have this material body, it will be there. It will not go away. There should not be an excuse. Another sign of having a higher taste is like material desires decreases. Having a higher taste means the fever of material desires is like coming down. It's like we have one devotee. I'm missing him, so I checked on him. I checked with another devotee to check on him. He said, "Oh, his body is burning. I mean, you know, he's having. But it doesn't have a fever. It's just like, you know, heat is there. So that means, you know, but this is like an example. When we have material desires, that means our fever is very high. And our taste buds is like, you cannot taste anything. But when you have spiritual ecstasy, then your taste, you can taste everything. A diseased person, he cannot taste anything. No taste at all. Doesn't matter how nice gulab jamun or halava or anything you give, no taste. Because the material desires is there. So when material desires is finished, then that is real higher taste. That is Krishna consciousness. So we're very fortunate that we have the best temple in the world. We have the best deities, the best association, the best kirtan, the best class, the best of everything. Prabhupada gave us here in Vrindavan, so we should take advantage of this as much as possible. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.